All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new review on Creature Commandos episodes 1 and 2. And as always, I go into every project, every movie, every TV show with a completely open mind, regardless of what I have talked about in regards to the creators or the studio behind it. And so you're going to get some actual analysis on the characters a little bit and the people behind these characters. I'm going to talk about what I thought worked with the cartoon and what I didn't think worked. First, let's talk about the animation itself. First of all, the animation to me is just mediocre. It's okay. It is definitely not going to blow people away. And I will tell you that overall, this show by critics is being way overblown. It is nowhere near the hit or the quality that these critics are leading you to believe, okay? Does this make this a bad show? It's not necessarily a bad show, but there are some aspects I didn't like. James Gunn's doing cameo porn when he said he wouldn't do it, and we'll talk about that. So there's a lot of things to kind of cover here. But the animation is first. The animation was pretty decent. At no point did I feel like it was super cheap, but it definitely was not high-tier animation. This is not on the level of, the 90s cartoons or anywhere near that. It is your basic run-of-the-mill animation that is not going to blow anybody away, but isn't also going to leave you, scratching your eyes out. It's serviceable, okay, but nothing amazing. Now, in the credits at the beginning, they did have James Gunn. So again, he's in there as the writer, and they have a thing of him sitting at a table. I don't remember if he was typing on a keyboard or what it was, a computer. I can't remember if he was writing. I don't remember what it was, but he's in there at the beginning. So James Gunn has inserted himself into this cartoon. Now, he swears he has nothing to do with it, that some of the directors of the episodes put him in there. Now, the one thing is James Gunn did direct all of the voices in this, and this is where I had the biggest issue. So let's talk about the characters first. I'm going to share my screen on IMDb so I could talk about each of these, and so I don't miss anything here, and we're going to talk about the voices here. So for anybody who might not know or is new here to my channel, I am actually a voice actor. It is what I do for a living. It's not YouTube. There are a bunch of people on here who would lead you to believe that my YouTube channel is how I make my money. It certainly is not. I still have a pretty small channel. I make my money and have been making my living as a voice actor for the last 14 years. Full-time for the last about 10 and a half years. So let's talk about the voice acting here, all right? And the voice acting was directed by James Gunn, and he really needs to stick to live action and not cartoons. Let's talk about Frank Grillo first as Rick Flag Sr. here. His voice acting was serviceable. If I had to rate him on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give him about a 7 as far as an animated character goes. He sounds more like a live action person in a more grounded role. Definitely not appropriate for animation. You have Alan Tudyk, who is in this episode as Dr. Phosphorus. He was by far one of the best voice actors in this, but I think there are a couple of others that did even better than he did. But Alan Tudyk, I'd give him a 9. I think the best one in here is Indira Varma, who plays Bride of Frankenstein. She was pretty freaking awesome, okay? I am not going to lie. She did her role very well. She sounded like an animated character. She fit the character. She did a great job in that role. Anya Chalotra as Cersei. I really couldn't get a feel for her. She's not in it a whole lot, although the story does revolve partly around her. You did have Viola Davis back as Amanda Waller. She sounded just like she did in Suicide Squad, so she already sounds more like an animated character in those movies to begin with, so she didn't really change who she was. Now, G.I. Robot was Sean Gunn. He did a decent job. I'd put him at around a 7 or an 8, somewhere in there as far as his voice acting goes. He was also serviceable. Now, the rest of the characters, not so good. I could tell you that these characters were very flat. Outside of those characters, obviously, Sean Gunn was playing more than G.I. Robot. He was playing, Weasel. Weasel doesn't speak, so there was nothing to talk about in regards to that. But you did have David Harbour as Frankenstein, and he was awful. There's no other way to put it. His voice acting was really bad. Now, the people who were better than this main cast was you've got the Queen in the show. And let's talk just a little bit about the plot, because I don't want to dig deep into it in case people actually want to watch it. But basically, Amanda Waller has to set up a new task force because she's been disbanded by the government and can't use humans. So she can only use monsters. They make that very clear at the very beginning of the show. And so she puts together a bunch of monsters to go out and protect this queen. I believe it was Rostovic. I believe Iana Rostovic, if I'm not mistaken, played by Maria Bakalova. Wow. She did an amazing job with her role. She very much acted like an animated character. And even the other people around her, and I don't even know who they were played by, some of the guardsmen and people surrounding her, they looked and sounded like cartoon characters. They did. They were more engaging. Definitely more cartoonish, way more cartoonish than the other actors. It was almost like different creatives were working on the animation for these characters and the designs, and that everything outside of the squad itself, that outside of the Creature Commandos, everyone outside of that was definitely more cartoonish, more animated, the way they looked and the way they spoke. So those people did a phenomenal job. Like I said, Alan Tudyk was the best out of all of the people in there outside of that, and then I would put Sean Gunn at that, and then Rick Flag below that, and then everybody else doesn't even rank, just because the voice acting in the show is nothing to praise, guys. It is basic. There's nothing special about it. It's not going to draw you in, but it's also not going to turn you away. It's kind of on the level of the animation. It's pretty basic stuff here. Nothing amazing. So that's kind of it with the cast here. The cast is very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing more about these members later in these episodes, because we only got the introduction and kind of the backstory on a couple of these. Little tidbits here and there, but nothing major. We're going to see more as time goes on, but the second episode was pretty much devoted to the backstory for the Bride of Frankenstein. It was definitely more of her story in the second episode. So now let's talk about the things I didn't like. James Gunn has this problem with rock music, or just music in general. Now, I'm not talking about the musical score. I'm talking about putting songs in TV shows and movies. I don't like this style. It's very in your face. I call it belligerent. It's over the top. I don't think it adds anything to the program. It's just his signature. It's just his signature move. It's what he does, but it doesn't really add anything to the program. What was really stupid was the juvenile humor. It's so bad that in one scene, Rick Flag is having intercourse with one of the characters in the show, and all the other squad members, the other commandos, are outside the door, and that's all you hear is the pounding up against the wall. This is middle school male type humor, okay? It's just stupid. It's not funny. It's not entertaining. They could have had these characters say the same things they did, but not have those sounds in the background. There didn't need to be any sounds. Honestly, it's very immature and very childish. It's very unbecoming of the DC brand. Let's put it that way. It was nowhere near as sexual as they made it out to be, like Frank Grillo said it was going to be, or James Gunn maybe led you to believe. But we're only getting started. I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, so I don't know what else is going to be in it. And it's really hard to rank something when you only have 2 parts of a 7-part series, so I can't rank the whole story because right now, I got to tell you, I'm very underwhelmed. Like, if this wasn't part of the DCU, I would turn it off and I wouldn't go back to it. I just don't care. And I have a feeling that's going to be most of the general audience. I just don't care. There's nothing here to grab your attention. There's nothing to latch on to. And what I really don't like about this is James Gunn made it very clear that the Suicide Squad events happened, and he made it very clear that the Peacemaker events happened. And if you've seen both of those projects, you know what you're getting with this because this has the exact same feel as the Suicide Squad, which I've seen the movie twice. And the first time I was like, whatever. The second time I saw it, I disliked it even more than the first time I saw it. I just don't think it's a good film by any stretch of the imagination. And they made it very clear that those events are canon now. And I think it's very selfish for Gunn to do this. Like, he literally got rid of everything else, but only kept the stuff that he was involved with. And I have a feeling that this was planned long before he took over, guys. I really think this is an old plan that they're moving forward with, and he's got free reign to do whatever he wants. And I'm going to be doing a full DC update, hopefully later today or early tomorrow. And there's just some things. He's been in some interviews, and I just don't like what he's saying. Now, let's talk about the cameo porn that I was talking about. There are several things in here that didn't need to be in there. One of them was a scene of Superman basically posted up on a cross. And if you remember the flack that Zack Snyder got for the whole Superman, Jesus connection there, James Gunn ups it a notch on this, and you get to see Superman pinned to a cross. And I can already tell you, people are on Twitter and these other places, and they're already making excuses that it's okay for Gunn to do it, that he's the blueprint. Go see what Slav has to say. He's the blueprint. It's all about James Gunn. James Gunn can do no wrong. Also, there was a cameo by Shaggy from Scooby-Doo in this. No joke. That is the epitome of cameo porn. Okay, it's no different than what they did in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He got a lot of flack for putting Howard the Duck in there. He said they're not going to do that in the DCU, and here we are in the very first project, and you got it. Okay, so he does not tell the truth. He is not truthful with the comments that he makes, and I don't know what it's going to take for people to understand that James Gunn talks outside both sides. Okay, you cannot believe what James Gunn has to say. You just can't. He will say one thing and do something completely different. Now, if I was forced to rate these first two episodes on the content alone and what it is, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. That's it, 3 out of 5. Somewhere between 2.5 and 3 out of 5. I don't like it. I don't hate it. Could definitely be better, but it could also be a heck of a lot worse. And so this is just barely serviceable. It is not the hit that they are leading you to believe. And if you're waiting for something in the DCU and you want something to get you excited, this ain't going to do it. This is not the project to get you excited. And I still stand by the fact that this is the project they chose to kick off the whole DCU. Mismanagement to the max. Okay? Mismanagement to the max. This should have never been the first project. And in my update that I'll be doing, we're going to talk about what James Gunn had to say in regards to the future of the DCU and how they're going to treat the stories. It's also not a good look either. So there's a lot of things to be very hesitant about moving forward. He made some comments about Green Lantern and a whole bunch of things that I'll be covering in my next video, and none of it seems to be going in a direction that true fans are going to like. And you're going to get people out there claiming that they're true fans, but they're not. I'm learning that the James Gunn fan base is a bunch of belligerent, disgusting people that if you say anything against him, they do attack you, and I've seen it in spades this week. And this is a real assessment on a real project. Regardless of who was behind it, this is just mediocre at best. I know there are 5 more episodes, and I just don't know if I want to watch a 22 episode a week and then do a review. So I'm probably going to hold off until the whole thing's done so I can just watch it and do a review on the whole scene, the whole series, because honestly, it's not worth my attention to come back week after week to watch it. I'll just wait until the whole thing's done, watch the whole thing in one sitting, get my review up, because it's just not holding my interest at all. All right, guys, so there's the review for the day. If you guys have seen it, what did you think? We will see you on the next review.